friends, it's Inauguration Day, the dawn of a new era in the United States. And for better or for worse, the next 4 years in this country are going to look very different from the last 4 years. And while the goal of today's podcast isn't to get all political on you, don't worry, I did want to spend a little time talking about one particular aspect of the incoming administration that I am pretty excited to see in action: the MAHA movement, also known as the Make America Healthy Again movement. Because whether you love President Trump or you can't stand the guy, I don't really care. But if you are listening to this podcast, I am going to assume you care about health. And if you've listened to this podcast for any amount of time, you probably already know that I'm not a huge fan of big food or big pharma, and that I firmly believe that the unchecked power and greed of these two mega industries is the primary cause of the current health and obesity epidemic in this country. I've even done a whole podcast episode on it. But MAHA is promising to change all that. And I got to tell you, that gets me very fired up. So today I want to talk about it. And maybe by the end of this episode, you'll be a little bit fired up too. Welcome to the Feel Better, Live Free podcast, brought to you by Thinlicious. I'm your host, Ruth Sukup, and here we'll talk about everything from the science of weight loss to practical tips for making your health a priority in the midst of a busy life. It's a little bit nerdy, a little bit funny, and a little bit revolutionary. So buckle up, friend, because it's about to get real. Hey there, and welcome back to the Feel Better, Live Free podcast. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ruth Sukup, and I am the creator of Thinlicious and the Thin Adapted System, as well as the New York Times bestselling author of 7 books. And I am also a 46-year-old woman who struggled for almost 10 years to lose weight and get healthy. It is a battle that I fought for so long, constantly trying everything that I knew how to do to lose weight and get healthy, one diet after another, sometimes losing a few pounds, then always gaining it right back. And really, honestly, the only thing I didn't try in all those years was Ozempic. But the only reason I didn't try Ozempic is because it didn't exist yet. But believe me, had it been around, I probably would have been first in line, because honestly, I was totally desperate to fix that piece of my life. I would have paid any amount of money. I would have tried anything. I did some pretty stupid things. And if you are listening to this podcast because you too are struggling with this, then please know that I know how you feel. And I know that as I'm saying this, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, how not feeling good about your body and about the way that you look and about your weight, how it starts to just trickle down and impact everything else in your life. It is hard to feel good in your clothes. You are always self-conscious and self-critical. You start avoiding the mirrors. You don't want to be in pictures. You start saying no to things, right? Like you start planning out like, ooh, what am I going to have to wear if I go to that thing? Or right? Like you start hiding. It basically starts to erode your confidence and your life. And on top of that, you just don't feel good. You're tired all the time. You're bloated. You're gassy. You struggle with heartburn. You have indigestion. You have chronic pain and headaches and inflammation. And it's just this vicious cycle because it's hard to get motivated to do something about it because you're exhausted all the time. And yet there's no way to stop feeling exhausted unless something actually changes in your life. And believe me, I get it. I get it. I feel it so viscerally every single time that I talk about it. And it's been 4 years, right? It's been 4 years since I finally lost the weight and I finally got healthy for life, and that I have been able to just have a whole different outlook. But I still feel that so viscerally every single time I just even think about it. Like I'm right back there because that struggle was such a huge dominating part of my life for so long. And for me, it wasn't until I decided to take a totally different approach to things and to my health that things finally turned around. And the biggest thing was that I finally stopped trying to find a quick fix, right? Another crash diet. And instead, I decided to do some actual research into the science of weight loss and into why we gain weight in the first place. And not just what the shape magazines were telling me, and not just what everybody says, and not just kind of the surface, but like really digging in to, but what did the studies say? Like, what did the old studies say? Why is this happening, right? And even starting to go down the rabbit hole of asking questions of like, why has it gotten so hard in the last 50 years? What changed, right? And so as I started asking these questions and digging into it and doing all this research, what I discovered really shocked me because it was so different than everything that we've ever been told about what's healthy and what's not healthy and what makes us lose weight and what makes us gain. And, I've subscribed to every single magazine for years, or not anymore, but I used to, right? The Shape magazine and the Women's Health and all the things they say over and over again that I thought I was doing right, that I should eat less and exercise more, and that it's calories in and calories out, and right? None of that is true. Not even a little bit, especially for women and especially for women over 40. Because as it turns out, the thing that regulates our weight is not calories, it's hormones. And we just have to worry about our hormones, right? That's the hormones in our body are controlling everything. They're controlling exactly what our body does. And so they are controlling whether we store fat, which is what happens when our hormones are all out of whack, or whether we just let it go. And because our bodies are designed to actually function normally, right? They're designed to keep us at an optimum weight. They want us to stay at it. Our body wants us to stay at an optimum weight, but it's because the hormones are all messed up that it can't. And so I learned all this stuff, right? And I started to change the way that I eat in a way that restored balance to my hormones and reversed insulin resistance and healed my gut. And as I did that, the weight just started to come off. Without dieting, I swear I did not diet. And when I tell people this, they never believe me. I did not count calories at all. I ate tons of food. I ate more calories than I had probably have eaten over the previous 10 years, right? This was not a diet. I was eating tons of food, but I was still losing weight. Wasn't taking Ozempic. Like I said, it didn't even exist yet. And I was not miserable. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I get to eat like this and still lose weight. And yet I lost 40 pounds in 6 months. And for the first time ever, I didn't just gain it all right back. I have now easily maintained, and now when I say easily, I mean easily maintained that weight loss for years now. And in fact, in the years since, even though I've technically been in maintenance mode, I've slowly dropped a few more pounds, not intentionally, right? And not in a dangerous way, but that my total weight loss now, 4 years in, is 49 pounds. And it's amazing, the transformation, right? I look and feel better now at 46, almost 47 years old, than I did at 36 or probably even at 26. My skin is clearer and brighter. I have so much energy. I sleep so good. I don't get daily headaches anymore. My joints don't hurt. And oh my gosh, friends, let me tell you, after struggling with this for so long, it felt and still does feel every single day. Every single day I feel like this is a miracle, right? Every single day I feel like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is my life." It feels like freedom. And it is why I am so freaking passionate about this work. It is why I started Thinlicious. It is why I started this podcast, because I cannot help myself. I want to share it. I want to help other women find that same freedom. But it has also sort of unlocked this passion inside of me to go down that rabbit hole, right? To get to the truth of what's actually going on and why so many of us are struggling with the exact same thing. And man, it's like anything else in life. When you see the light, you can't unsee it. And when you start to go down that path of understanding what's actually happening, going down the rabbit hole, you start going deeper and deeper, and you start seeing all these connections, and you start to realize that it's not just your experience, right? My weight loss journey, these 10 years of struggle, that's not just me. That is so many people. There is actually something much bigger going on. And your struggle to lose weight and get healthy is actually a result of forces in this country that have been conspiring against you for your whole life. And that makes me mad. It should make you mad. I hope it makes you mad. But what I'm talking about, these forces are basically big food and big pharma. And if you really want to go down the rabbit hole a whole lot further and get into the nitty gritty of the whole conspiracy, you should know I said this earlier, but I'll say it again. I have recorded a whole podcast episode just on this topic. It's very juicy. And it's called How Big Food and Big Pharma Are Actively Keeping You Sick and Fat, right? It's not subtle, where I lay out exactly what they've done and how they've done it for all these years. And I cite all my sources. We have it as a blog post on our Thinlicious blog as well. And everything is linked. All the sources are linked, because it's important to make sure that it's documented. But I'm not going to rehash all of that today, because today I am actually feeling pretty optimistic and pretty fired up. In fact, right now, at this very moment that this podcast goes live, I am actually in Washington, D.C. for the presidential inauguration, and specifically to attend the MAHA ball that happens tonight. I have never been to a presidential inauguration before, but I was like, I gotta go, because MAHA is so exciting to me that I can't help but be fired up. And I wanted to see it for myself. I wanted to be there for this moment in American history. So I bought a ticket to the MAHA ball for me and my husband. And man, let me tell you, those tickets were expensive. I got the cheapest ones, right? Nobody's sponsoring me. This isn't this isn't like somebody asked me to go. I'm just going. I got the cheapest tickets. We only get to watch from the cheap seats, but I don't care, because I just want to be there and see it. And I really want to just cheer on this Make America Healthy Again movement, because it is long overdue. And honestly, I can't for the life of me understand why it would even be controversial, why anyone would be against finding a way to reduce corporate corruption in the food and drug industries and help Americans get healthy again. Because even if it's not perfect, you can't deny the fact that what we are doing right now, what our healthcare system looks like right now, is not working, not even a little bit. Americans are sicker and fatter than we have ever been. 80% of the adult population in the US is now overweight. 90% of the population has some form of insulin resistance. Over 50% of the population is diabetic or pre-diabetic. We are dying from preventable diseases that are a direct result of the greed and corruption of a system that wants to keep you sick and fat. And even if we're not dying, we're not living. Our best years are being stolen from us because we don't feel good, and it is time to do something about it. So let's talk specifically for a few minutes about what parts of this movement I think we should all be most excited about. Because there's a lot, right? You can go on their website and they've got all these things that they want to do. But here are the things that I think are really, really exciting. So the first big piece of the MAHA movement that I am so excited about, because it is literally what I talk about week in and week out on this podcast, is the commitment to addressing the root causes of chronic disease, both in our food supply and our environment. And if you listen to this podcast regularly, you know that I often talk about the big three, right? The root causes that have wreaked havoc on our health. And the root causes, the things that you need to fix if you want to lose weight, get healthy, and reverse chronic disease. So what are they? Insulin resistance, hormonal balance, and gut health. And everything the MAHA movement wants to do and says they're going to do is right in line with that, from eliminating toxic ingredients in our food supply that are right now running rampant and totally out of control, the inflammatory seed oils, the preservatives, the toxic dyes, to creating more transparency with food labels so that people can actually see what kind of choices that we are making with our foods. There are so many ingredients that are currently allowed in American food that have literally been banned in almost every other country because they are known to be dangerous and lethal. It's funny. It was just just announced, right, that they just announced that they finally banned red dye number 5, right? And they've got like years to do it, and it's so dangerous. But that's only one, right? There's so many more. And friends, it is crazy that we have allowed this. But again, it's because big food has big power. They have bought off the media and they've bought off the government. And so they do what they want, which is fill our food with toxic crap designed to make us sick and keep us addicted. And then on top of that, the way that they market all this toxic food makes us think that we're making good choices when we're actually not. So imagine you're a mom at the grocery store who buys a box of cereal or a box of granola bars because it says things on the box, right? It looks really good. It's all greens and browns and seems like, oh my gosh, this is like really healthy because it's organic and it's made with whole grains and it's heart healthy. So you think you're getting something that's really good for your kids. But now the label says contains high level of sugar and food dyes, which are known to cause ADHD in children. Would you buy that? Probably not, right? So that's a good thing. Putting labels that actually say the truth, just forcing companies to be honest about the crap that they're putting in our food, that right there is going to make a difference. I always say this, knowledge is power. And most of the choices that we're making right now happen because we don't even know. We don't know. We have been lied to and lied to and lied to and lied to and lied to for years and years and years and years. Because it is not a coincidence that the steep rise in disease and obesity has coincided with the increase of toxic chemicals in our food. And getting all that crap out of our diets will have an impact on our country's health, even if we don't make any other changes. So to me, that is huge. But that is really just the beginning. Because what I really appreciate about the MAHA movement is the focus on preventative health and not just this reactive approach to healthcare that has defined our country for the last 50 years. Because right now we live in a healthcare world that could basically be defined as disease management. If there is something wrong with you, there is probably some sort of pill to help manage your symptoms. But the thing about that is that those pills are not designed to heal you. They won't heal you. They will just help manage the symptoms so that you have to keep taking them to feel better. And that is intentional. And not only that, those pills generally come with a whole bunch of side effects or other problems, which means that you might have to start taking more pills to manage the side effects. It's such a vicious, evil cycle. When the reality is that food and healthy lifestyle changes is the best medicine that we have on this planet. And almost every single chronic disease that is out there right now can be prevented or reversed by making the right lifestyle changes. And now we're finally getting an administration that not only understands that and believes that, but actually wants to do something about it and create a health system that is finally focused on disease prevention and wellness and longevity through healthy diet and lifestyle changes. The MAHA movement supposedly wants to reduce our reliance on pharmaceuticals. And not only that, empower people to rely less on medications and more on holistic and natural practices that can actually help to heal you. And this is so huge. This is so huge because right now, the power of Big Pharma is so vast and so wide, and they control so much of the messaging that they have actively prevented people from gaining access to information, right? Just basic information about anything that's natural or holistic. There's all these restrictions on what you can say about any of this stuff, whether it's raw milk or essential oils or any number of herbs and supplements that have been proven in labs to have huge health benefits. And they've made it illegal to even talk about it. They've run smear campaigns to people who do talk about it, right? And those smear campaigns are aided by the media, which is funded by Big Pharma. And so they run these smear campaigns against anyone who does talk about it. And at the same time, and this is where it gets so sinister, because at the same time, they actively prevent people from learning about the real risks of their products. And man, did we ever see that during the COVID epidemic, when anyone who said anything negative against the vaccines was immediately flagged, right? That, misinformation. And now all of a sudden, we're not going to do that anymore, right? Zuckerberg came out and said he's not going to do that anymore. And that was wrong. Yeah, it was wrong, because all these concerns that these people have been raising about vaccine injuries and even the efficacy of the COVID vaccine, all of them have been proven to be true. People who were anti-mask, they were demonized, and now it's been proven that masks didn't do anything, right? But we weren't allowed to talk about it. And it's crazy because that's just wrong. Everyone deserves free access to real information. Everyone deserves the personal autonomy to be fully informed about all the alternatives. If you choose to take pharmaceuticals rather than opt for natural remedies, that's fine, right? That should be your choice too. Everybody should have autonomy, but you should actually be able to weigh the pros and cons for yourself. So if on the one hand, you're not being told about the benefits of natural remedies and what those can actually do for you because we're not allowed to talk about it, and on the other hand, the pharmaceutical companies don't have to talk about any of the risks of the pharmaceuticals that they're doling out because they make more money, that makes you feel like you have no choice because all you're hearing is, oh, well, this is the only thing. This is the only thing. So I don't know what that's going to look like in practice exactly, but oh man, I am here for it. So bring on preventative health and full transparency about all the options. Let people choose, right? Let people choose the best way with all the options, with all the information available to them. Because here's the truth. You don't have to be sick. You don't have to feel like crap all the time. There is a better way to live. And let's make that our new normal. So, yep. This focus on preventative health, I'm here for it. It's long overdue. But oh man, guys, the good stuff keeps coming because another big piece of the MAHA movement is their commitment to exposing and dismantling the corporate takeover of the government agencies that are supposed to be protecting public health and the environment, but are really just being paid off and controlled by big food and big pharma and big farming, right? They're everything that they do is all in the pocket of companies and not the people. And MAHA is committed to creating both transparency and accountability. At least they say they are, right? I don't know if any of this is going to happen. I'm just feeling optimistic today. I hope that it happens. If they do what they say they're going to do, man, that is going to be a game changer. But they want to reduce the influence of corporate money in politics and media to ensure that these agencies like the FDA and the CDC, are now actually operating in the public interest and not just doing the bidding of corporations like they are now. It gives me chills to think about it, honestly. I can't even tell you how huge this is if they actually manage to accomplish it. Because to me, it is absolutely criminal what is happening right now. That these agencies that should be standing in the gap for us as Americans, the very agencies that should be protecting us and should be looking out for us, and what our taxes are paying for them to do, have actually been bought and paid for, and they have all sold us a bill of goods. So I say bring it on. And hopefully this also means removing the corporate corruption from media spend as well, because right now the two biggest spenders by far in advertising are big food and big pharma. They do what they want because they've paid everyone off. Like, how many times do you go to watch TV and all you see are pharmaceutical commercials? And that they don't even allow those in other countries. And when big pharma is no longer able to control big media, man, wait till we start seeing what happens. And I can't wait to see that change. Honestly, I can't. It can't happen soon enough. Whew, man, so many things. But one other big aspect of the MAHA movement that I'm happy to see is, and this is a little kind of out there, but their commitment to restoring regenerative agriculture. And I'm getting a little more into this now that I have my farm where I grow nothing and have no animals yet, right? But someday in my dream world, I do. And right now, commercial farming is, it's so bad for us, right? We're not even just the quality of the food that is coming to our grocery stores, even when you're trying to eat whole foods, is not very good. And this commercial farming is not only wreaking havoc on the environment, it's creating this low quality food that has fewer nutrients and more toxins. And MAHA wants to bring sustainable farming back, right? To incentivize sustainable farming practices, to improve soil health so that there's more minerals and nutrients in the soil, to reduce the chemical usage so that we're getting fewer toxins in our food, and to increase biodiversity in order to produce both healthier food and create a healthier planet, right? Create a healthier environment. And it's kind of hard to argue that this isn't a good thing all around, right? Real food grown in a sustainable way, good for farmers, good for humans that eat the food, good for the planet. I like it. So, in a nutshell, those are some of the big reasons that I am so excited about the Make America Healthy Again movement, and why I really do think that all of us who are concerned about health in America should be behind it, right? We should be rallying behind this movement. Like, what can we do? What can we do to help it? What can we do to cheer it on? Because the really cool thing about this movement is that it's not about politics. It's not about whether you lean left or lean right. It's all kind of spearheaded by Robert Kennedy Jr. He's a big left-wing Democrat, right? It's about health and actually fixing this huge problem that exists in our country right now and reversing this epidemic of sickness and obesity that is destroying all of our lives. That affects everyone. That is not a political issue. That is a health issue. That is a human issue. And taking our country back from the forces of huge corporations that do not care that we are getting sicker and fatter every year, that are in fact celebrating the fact that we are getting sicker and fatter every year because it makes them more money. This is a movement that truly transcends political divides. And that honestly makes me hopeful for the future of our country because there has been too much division. But this is something we can all get behind. This is something we can all get excited about. Man, making America healthy again. So I hope that you will celebrate with me today, friends, because in my humble opinion, MAHA is definitely a good thing. And if you are on Instagram, be sure to keep an eye on my stories because I will be sharing what I can from the MAHA Ball tonight. I've said for a long time that I am on a mission to change the world by helping women transform their health. And I have never felt more committed to that goal. The truth is that when you're not healthy and you don't feel good, it affects everything else in your life. But when you do feel good, man, it just opens up a million different doors. Suddenly you're not limited by this like lack of energy. I don't feel like it, right? Or this chronic pain or the embarrassment and the shame of being overweight. Suddenly you can do anything. And that is what I want for you and for every woman in this country, for every man, woman, child, right? I want it for everyone. And today I do feel like we are one step closer. I am like getting a little teary-eyed thinking about it. So sorry to get all emotional on you. Thank you for hearing my heart. I will be back soon. But in the meantime, if you are feeling fired up and ready to make a real change in your own life, I gotta say, I would be remiss if I didn't say that our TAS program is the perfect place to start, right? We've been embracing this MAHA philosophy for the last 3 years already. And if you want to get started, you're like, okay, I'm in, I'm ready to go. But I want to know about it. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Just go to thinlicious.com/program and get signed up. Once again, that URL for our TAS program is thinlicious.com/program. And then, of course, be sure to hit subscribe or follow to be notified of new episodes. Leave a review if you loved this episode. Don't leave a review if you hated it. And feel free to share this episode as well if you are as excited about this MAHA movement as I am. And then I will see you back here very soon for our next episode.